कैसे बताए क्यों तुझको चाहे यारा बता ना पाए.
Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal, and good day. Thank you for listening to Awaz Community Radio. Your host is myself, Saira, and today's discussion is a bit of a taboo subject in the Asian community. It's also quite a serious one. It's the subject of domestic abuse.
अनजाने है सिलसिले तुमसे न जाने क्यों सपने हैं पलकों तले तुमसे न जाने क्यों.
Now, if you'd like to get in touch with us at Awaz Community Radio about this topic, then you can email us awazradio@hotmail.com. You can call us 0161 839 7857. We're on Facebook, just type in Awaz Community Radio. You can follow us on Twitter as well, Awaz Radio 122, or log on to our website www.awazcommunityradio.com. Now, the government definition of domestic abuse is that it is any incident of threatening behaviour, violence or abuse, psychological, physical, financial, emotional, which is between adults who are or have been intimate partners or family members, and this is regardless of gender. This is an issue affecting Asian males and Asian women today.
तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा.
Emotional or psychological abuse can also be verbal and non-verbal. The aim of it is to chip away at the confidence and the independence of the victim with the intention of making him or her compliant and limiting their ability to leave. Emotional abuse can include verbal abuse such as yelling, name-calling, blaming and shaming. This can be very intimidating, it can be very isolating. The threats of violence and controlling behaviour can cause great distress to the victim.
रोशनी से जैसे भरा हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है बस कोई समझे जरा.
Past generations of South Asian women living in the UK have lived with and survived domestic abuse and violence, accepting it's part of their kismet or their fate, or the right of their husbands and in-laws to treat them as they wished. Now, many women from those times were illiterate. They had no one to turn to, especially within the husband's family, where sadly, frequently, the mother-in-law would also be involved in the abuse. In addition, a woman's own family would not support her plight because they told her to put up with it and accept it as part of married life, where they lived in fear of the family name being tarnished if their daughter's marriage ended in divorce.
तिनका 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 जरा जरा.
Evidence shows today that the domestic abuse situation has not actually changed, but it's turned into many forms of abuse. It's not just physical abuse women face today, but also severe emotional and mental abuse. All of these are a form of a criminal offence in the United Kingdom. In 2010 to 2011, the number of recorded cases of domestic violence against women in England alone were almost 700,000, including 42,000 incidents reported in the West Midlands.
समझे जरा तिनका तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा तिनका तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है बस कोई समझे जरा.
We are talking about domestic abuse on Awaz Community Radio. So what plays a key role in keeping Asian women trapped in a violent relationship? Well, izzat or honour, sharm or shame. These are the things that play a key role. Stereotypically, Asian women are held responsible for maintaining the family izzat and the sharm more than Asian men. Has domestic abuse changed dramatically for British Asian women in this day and age? Are they being treated and respected as equals in the home? Has the abuse lessened from the past? Are today's women coping better, finding support and being able to say enough is enough? Do call in, email, tweet or Facebook with your opinions. Thank you.
तिनका तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है बस कोई समझे जरा तिनका 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 तिनका.
We're just getting lots of tweets and messages in. Thank you everyone for listening and thank you very much for getting in touch. Now, many people seem to be agreeing with the fact that the many factors that lead to domestic and emotional abuse include the fact that some people still have very backward, well, surprisingly backward and orthodox views within families, despite the fact education and professional jobs are becoming the norm for women within many households. There are issues such as not giving birth to a boy, not bringing enough gifts for the family, not being thought of as good enough for the son, not respecting the mother-in-law, not fitting into the family of in-laws, or thinking too highly of yourself because you're educated, spending too much time with your own family, that can be your parents, your siblings, and going out on nights out with friends. These are all seen as issues for some domestic abusers.
जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है बस कोई समझे जरा.
It feels that even in today's society, British Asian women have not progressed inside the home and are not treated as equals or even human beings in some cases. For example, even now there's immense pressure on young British Asian brides to deliver a baby boy, well, the firstborn child to be a baby boy, to satisfy the in-laws. Some great thinkers describe the womb as a chamber of mercy, but sadly, the fear of abuse looms if a boy is not born to carry on the precious family name.
जरा तिनका तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है बस कोई समझे जरा तिनका 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 जरा जरा
Most British Asian women, from a very young age, dream of the perfect fairy tale wedding. These dreams sadly turn into horror stories for some within a matter of days, weeks or months after the big fat Indian wedding. It's not just the husbands or partners, but also the extended families that can carry out the abuse against the outsider who has joined the family.
हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है बस कोई समझे जरा तिनका तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा तिनका तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है बस कोई समझे जरा
I have some stories for you. Now, there's Nena from Hounslow, and of course we have covered her name, of course, for confidentiality purposes. And her story is that she was married for 10 years. Before she was married, her husband and her in-laws were very nice. And she says that as soon as she got married, restrictions were put upon her. She wasn't allowed to go out unless she was with her husband or mother-in-law.
तिनका तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी
I have another story from another lady. Her name is Malaika from Nottingham. Again, we have used false names for confidentiality. When my drunk husband would come home, the first thing he would do was to find out what part of the house I was in. My 6-year-old son would grab my 3-year-old daughter and they would hide in the house knowing that mummy would get hurt again. If they screamed, my husband would beat me more. I was so controlled by this, I thought nothing of this. My son Sunil one day walked into my room feeling very upset. "Mummy, let me grow up and I will protect you and my little sister. No one can hurt you when I'm bigger," he said. It was this comment my child said that hurt me more than the beatings. I realised that this had to stop now.
जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है बस कोई समझे जरा
Thank you everyone for your stories and your messages and your opinions. We really appreciate your feedback. Thank you. Now, children witnessing domestic abuse are highly likely to be affected by what they see mentally later in life. For boys, it can even lead to them repeating the cycle or finding it hard to have relationships with women. For girls, it can affect their outlook towards men, thinking that they are all perpetrators.
ये जो एहसास है जो करार है क्या इसी का ही नाम प्यार है मुझे दिल थम के जरा तिनका तिनका जरा जरा है रोशनी से जैसे भरा हर दिल में अरमां होते तो है
Now, I don't want this all to be about doom and gloom and that there is no hope or faith, because there is hope. Saheli Asian Women's Project has been established since 1976, providing advice, information and support services to Asian women and their children fleeing domestic abuse, forced marriages. They are based in Manchester, and they are a project who are doing amazing work, and we will give you their number shortly.
तू सब्र तो कर मेरे यार जरा सांस तो ले दिलदार चल फिक्र नु गोली मार यार है दिन जिंदड़ी दे चार हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार चलिया हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार चलिया हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार हौले 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 हौले
More on what Saheli do is that they provide temporary refuge for women and their children who have left their homes due to domestic violence. They ensure security of accommodation. They provide counselling and practical support to women within the refuge. They provide care and support for the children as well. They provide aftercare support to women and the children who have left the refuge. Also, they provide advice and information to Asian women suffering from domestic violence who are within that situation. They maintain a strictly confidential service, and they will support women in whatever decision they make regarding the future, whether they decide to return to their partners or whether they decide to set up independently. Their number 0161 945 4187. That's 0161 945 4187. You can email them on saheliltd@btconnect.com. That's saheliltd@btconnect.com for advice and support.
इश्क़े दी गलियां तंग है शर्मो शर्मी में बंद है खुद से खुद की कैसी ये जंग है पल पल ये दिल घबराए पल पल ये दिल शर्माए कुछ कहता है और कुछ कर जाए कैसी ये पहेली मुआ दिल मर जाना इश्क में जल्दी बड़ा जुर्माना तू सब्र तो कर मेरे यार जरा सांस तो ले दिलदार चल फिक्र नु गोली मार यार है दिन जिंदड़ी दे चार हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार चलिया हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार चलिया हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार हौले 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 हौले
You've been listening to Awaz Community Radio with your host Saira, discussing the taboo subject of domestic abuse. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We can tell by your messages that you have been enjoying the show and learning a lot from it. Thank you for listening and take care.